What?
Can your mother stay out of our marriage for one day?
What do you mean?
I mean exactly what I said. Now.
You're trying to separate me from my mother.
What?
That's what all women do.
Be a man for once, Daniel!
Good morning, Mommy. That was the first person Daniel spoke to every single day. Not God, not his friends, not even himself, but his mother. At 34 years old, Daniel still called his mother before making almost every decision. What shirt should I wear? What food should I eat? Which car should I buy? Should I travel? Should I sleep? Okay, maybe not sleep, but almost everything else. His mother, Mrs. Grace, loved it. After all, Daniel was her only child. His father died many years ago and left behind houses, lands, businesses, and plenty of money. Daniel never lacked anything, except one thing, a wife. 3 relationships had already ended. 3. And every single time, his mummy was involved. The first girlfriend was too short. Mummy, she's 5 feet 2. What if your children disappear in family pictures? Relationship over. The second girlfriend laughed too loudly. Mummy, she just likes to laugh. Daniel, a woman that laughs like a generator is dangerous. Relationship over. The third one? The poor girl wore slippers to visit. Mrs. Grace almost fainted. Slippers? To my son's house? Is she going to the market? Relationship over. Daniel was tired, very tired. One Saturday afternoon, his new girlfriend, Sandra, came to visit. She arrived at Daniel's house with a bright smile on her face. As soon as Daniel opened the gate, they hugged warmly. A taxi was still waiting outside. She quickly turned to him and said, "Daniel, please, can you help me with some money to pay the taxi driver?" Without hesitation, Daniel happily gave her the money. After the driver left, Daniel held her hand and led her into his luxurious sitting room. "Make yourself comfortable. I'll be back in a moment." "Okay," she replied with a smile. Daniel hurried into his bedroom and immediately called his mother. Daniel, "Hello, Mom."
"Yes, my son. You won't believe what just happened. She's here. Really? Yes. But do you know, she didn't even have money to pay for her transport." There was a brief silence before his mother laughed. "Are you serious?" This one is a gold digger." Daniel burst into laughter. "That's exactly what I was thinking." The two laughed loudly before ending the call. Meanwhile, Sandra was happily cooking soup. Daniel entered the kitchen. "Can you teach me how to cook?" Sandra smiled. "Of course." But Daniel wasn't learning. Oh no, he was secretly recording videos. Every spoon, every tomato, every onion, everything. Then suddenly, achoo! Daniel sneezed. Sandra turned. "What happened?" "Nothing." He quickly ran outside. Sandra continued cooking. Outside, Daniel sent the video to his mother. A few minutes later, Mrs. Grace called. "My son." "Yes, Mummy." "The soup is looking dry." "Huh?" "Add more red oil." Daniel nodded. Immediately, he grabbed a bottle of oil and entered the kitchen. He started pouring. The soup began to look like a swimming pool. At that exact moment, Sandra walked in. She froze. Daniel froze. "Daniel." "Yes?" "What are you doing?" Daniel smiled proudly. "Mummy said the soup needs more oil." Silence. Sandra blinked. "What?" Sandra stared at him. "You recorded me?" Daniel nodded. "And sent it to your mother?" Daniel nodded again. "And your mother is inspecting my soup?" Daniel smiled. "She does that for all my girlfriends." The smile disappeared from Sandra's face. Slowly. Very slowly. "All your girlfriends?" "Yes." Sandra removed her apron. "Daniel." "Yes?" "You're not looking for your wife." "Huh?" "You're looking for his second mother." She dropped the spoon, picked up a handbag, and walked out. Daniel ran after her. "Sandra! Sandra!" But Sandra never looked back. That evening, Daniel sat in his room angry. Very angry. He called his mother.
"Mummy, my son, you've done it again. What did I do? Sandra left." Mrs. Grace laughed. "Forget her. But I loved her." "My son, don't worry. There are many women." Daniel dropped the phone. For the first time in years, he was angry with his mother. Very angry. So angry that he grabbed his car keys and drove straight to a bar. He needed a drink. Little did he know, the woman he would meet there that night would change everything. Or destroy everything.
Daniel sat alone in the bar. 1 bottle, 2 bottles, 3 bottles. His heart was broken. Sandra had left. Again. Another relationship destroyed. Then 2 ladies walked into the bar laughing. Daniel couldn't help but notice one of them. Her name was Anita. She had a calm smile, simple, beautiful, and kind. Daniel offered to pay for their food. The ladies thanked him. Before they left, Daniel gathered courage. "Can I have your number?" Anita smiled. "Okay." That night, Daniel drove home smiling, for the first time in weeks. Then he called the most important person in his life. "Mommy, my son, I met someone." Mrs. Grace almost dropped her phone. "Another one? Mommy!" "I'm joking," she laughed. "Send her picture." Daniel immediately sent Anita's picture. Mrs. Grace zoomed in, zoomed out, zoomed in again. What? Her ears are okay. Daniel blinked. Her ears? Yes, continue. Over the next few weeks, Daniel and Anita became very close. But Anita started noticing something strange, very strange. Every conversation somehow returned to one person, his mother. "My mother likes fried rice. My mother said green is a lucky color. My mother loves this song. My mother says a wife should wake up by 5 a.m. My mother said, my mother said, my mother said." One day, Anita ended the call and stared at her phone. Her younger sister Vivian was sitting beside her. "You look worried." Anita sighed. "This Daniel, what happened? He talks about his mother every 5 minutes." Vivian sat up. "Red flag." Anita laughed. "No, I'm serious. He loves his mother." Vivian shook her head. "No, this one is not love. It's what? It's a subscription." Anita burst into laughter. But deep inside, she was worried. Very worried. One afternoon, Daniel invited Anita to his house. He wanted to test something. His mother had always told him, "My son, any woman can cook with gas, okay? But a real wife is the one that can cook with firewood." Daniel believed it immediately, as usual. When Anita arrived, she found a modern kitchen, beautiful gas cooker, everything perfect. But Daniel suddenly pointed outside. "Let's cook there." Anita looked confused. "Outside?" "Yes."
"There is a kitchen here, I know. Then why outside? Firewood." Anita stared at him. For a moment, she thought he was joking. He wasn't.
Later that evening, she told Vivian, her younger sister, everything. Vivian was angry. "And you agreed to that?" "Firewood?" "Yes." "In 2026? "Yes." Vivian held her head. "My sister." "What?" "Run." Anita laughed. "Stop it. I'm serious. This man is just a mommy's boy. He will frustrate your life if you eventually get married to him." But Anita ignored the warning. Age was no longer on her side. She wanted a family. She wanted children. She wanted a home. So she kept hoping Daniel would change. The next weekend, she surprised Daniel. She went outside, gathered the firewood, and started cooking. Daniel almost cried with happiness. Quickly, he hid behind a wall, recording videos, taking pictures, like a wildlife photographer. Then he sent everything to his mother. Mrs. Grace screamed with joy. "My son!" "Yes, Mommy." Proposed to her and marry her immediately. "Really?" "Yes." "Why?" "Look at the way she's blowing the fire." Daniel smiled proudly. That evening, Daniel stood in the middle of the sitting room, holding a ring in his trembling hand. Anita looked at him curiously. Suddenly, Daniel went down on one knee and raised the ring toward her. "Anita,
My mother said I should propose to you.
Anita's eyes widened in shock. Your mother said what? Daniel immediately realized what he had just said. Oh no, I mean, Anita, please marry me. The room fell silent. Anita stared at him. Although Daniel quickly corrected himself, the words, "My mother said I should propose to you," kept ringing in her head. Something about it didn't sound right. For a moment, she wondered if he truly wanted to marry her or if he was only doing what his mother told him to do. But seeing the ring in his hand and not wanting to spoil the moment, Anita pushed the thought aside. A smile slowly appeared on her face. Yes, I will marry you.
Daniel jumped up in excitement and slipped the ring on her finger. As they hugged, Anita smiled on the outside, but deep inside, those words continued to echo in her mind. My mother said I should propose to you.
6 months later, they got married. But the real trouble started after the wedding. The first morning as husband and wife, Anita woke up early, prepared breakfast, made tea, prepared everything perfectly. Daniel tasted it. It's nice. Anita smiled. Then Mrs. Grace walked in. She took the tea, added more sugar, tasted it. Now it's correct. Daniel smiled. Thank you, Mommy. Anita's smile disappeared. The next day she made fried rice. Mrs. Grace added salt. The next day she made soup. Mrs. Grace added seasoning. The next day she made stew. Mrs. Grace added pepper. At this point, Anita started wondering if she was cooking food or doing practical exams. Whenever she complained, Daniel would always say,
My mother knows what I like. My mother understands me. My mother has been cooking for me all my life. One day, Anita exploded. Daniel, what? Can your mother stay out of our marriage for one day? Daniel stood up immediately. What do you mean? I mean exactly what I said. You're trying to separate me from my mother. What? That's what all women do. Anita couldn't believe her ears. Weeks later, things became even worse. A couple's outing was organized. Anita bought matching clothes for herself and Daniel. She was excited. When she came downstairs, she froze. Mrs. Grace was wearing the same outfit. Same color, same design, same everything. Anita almost fainted. At the event, people kept asking, which one is the wife? Anita wanted the ground to open and swallow her. That night, she cried. She called Vivian. Vivian didn't even allow her finish. I warned you. Anita was silent. Then came the biggest problem. One morning, Anita discovered she was pregnant. She was so happy. Tears filled her eyes. She wanted it to be a secret between husband and wife for a while. She smiled at Daniel. You're going to be a father. Daniel shouted, What? Then, before Anita could blink, Daniel grabbed his phone. Mommy? Anita's face fell. Within 1 hour, Mrs. Grace told her friends. Within 3 hours, the entire neighborhood knew. Within 1 day, even people Anita had never met were congratulating her. She was furious. A few weeks later, tragedy struck. She lost the baby. Anita cried for days. Daniel tried to comfort her, but she pushed him away. I told you. Told me what? Not everything should go to your mother. Daniel was silent. For the first time, he had no answer. But instead of learning, he continued reporting everything to his mother. Every disagreement, every argument, every private conversation, everything. And little by little, Mrs. Grace started hating Anita, the woman she once called wife material. Then one evening, Anita overheard a conversation between Daniel and his mother. A conversation that would change everything. And what she heard made her blood run cold.
That evening, Anita was walking past the sitting room when she heard Daniel talking to his mother on the phone. She stopped. She wasn't trying to listen, but then she heard her name. Mummy, Anita said she doesn't want me telling you everything. Mrs. Grace laughed.
You see, I told you. That woman wants to separate us. Anita froze. Separate us? Mrs. Grace continued. My son, a wife can come and go, but your mother will always remain your mother. Daniel nodded. You're right, Mummy. And don't ever stop telling me everything happening in your house. Anita felt her heart break, not because of Mrs. Grace, but because of Daniel, a grown man, a husband, still allowing someone else to control his marriage. That night, Anita cried quietly. The next morning, she packed a small suitcase. Daniel was shocked. What is this? I'm leaving. Leaving where? My sister's house. Daniel laughed. You are joking. Anita looked straight into his eyes. I lost a baby. Daniel became silent. I lost my peace. Silence. I lost my privacy. And now I'm losing myself. Daniel's smile disappeared. Anita, you tell your mother everything. She's my mother, Daniel said. How is that a problem? Anita continued. When I cry, your mother knows. Silence. When we argue, your mother knows. When we make out, your mother knows. Daniel, sometimes I feel like I'm married to both of you. For the first time, Daniel had no answer. Anita picked up her suitcase and left. Weeks passed. The house became quiet. Very quiet. No laughter, no cooking, no Anita. Daniel missed her. But each time he wanted to call her, his mother would say, leave her. She'll come back. But Anita didn't come back. 1 month became 2. 2 months became 3. Then one day, Daniel got a call. His mother's car had been involved in an accident. Nothing serious, but she had injured her leg. For the first time in years, Mrs. Grace could not move around freely. Daniel took care of her. Morning, afternoon, night. Every day. Then one evening, Mrs. Grace looked at him. My son? Yes, Mommy? Sit down. Daniel sat. Mrs. Grace sighed, a long sigh. Then suddenly, she started crying. Daniel panicked. Mommy, what happened? She wiped her tears. My son? Yes? I think I destroyed your marriage. Daniel froze. The room became silent. I loved you too much. Daniel looked down. I was afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid of being alone. Tears rolled down her cheeks. So every woman that came close to you, I pushed them away. Daniel felt tears gathering in his eyes. I thought I was protecting you. Mrs. Grace continued crying. But I was actually hurting you. For the first time, Daniel saw his mother's pain. She wasn't evil. She was lonely. Lonely after losing her husband. Lonely after spending years with only one child. But her loneliness had destroyed boundaries, and boundaries are important. Very important. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. The next morning, he drove straight to Vivian's house. Anita opened the door. She was shocked. Daniel looked different. Calmer, sadder, more mature. Can we talk? They sat down. For a long time, nobody spoke. Then Daniel finally broke the silence. I'm sorry. Anita looked at him. I failed you. Tears gathered in his eyes. I thought loving my mother meant telling her everything. He shook his head. I was wrong. Anita remained silent. I didn't protect our marriage. Silence. I didn't protect you. Silence. I didn't even understand what marriage meant. Tears rolled down Anita's cheek. Then Daniel did something she never expected. He knelt down. Please forgive me. Anita began crying. Real tears. Months of pain. Months of disappointment. Months of heartbreak. Finally pouring out. Weeks later, something beautiful happened.
Daniel and Anita started again. Slowly, very slowly. Trust doesn't return overnight, but little by little, things changed. Daniel stopped reporting every conversation, stopped discussing every argument, stopped sharing every private detail. For the first time, he started making decisions as a husband. Mrs. Grace also changed. She visited less, interfered less, and respected boundaries. One Sunday afternoon, Daniel, Anita, and Mrs. Grace sat together laughing. No fighting, no competition, no jealousy, just family, the right way. And for the first time in many years, everyone was happy. You know, this story teaches us that loving your parents is beautiful. Respecting your parents is important. Taking care of your parents is a blessing. But when love has no boundaries, it can become a problem. Daniel loved his mother. There was nothing wrong with that. The problem was that he never learned where being a son should end and where being a husband should begin. Many relationships don't break because there is no love. Sometimes they break because too many people are involved. A marriage needs trust. A marriage needs privacy. A marriage needs boundaries. And parents also need to understand that their children will grow up and build families of their own. Mrs. Grace was not a wicked woman. She was a lonely woman, and loneliness can sometimes make people hold on too tightly. The sad thing is that when we hold people too tightly, we may end up pushing them away. So if you are a parent, love your children, but let them grow. If you are married, protect your marriage. And if you see red flags before marriage, don't ignore them and hope they will disappear. Most times, they grow bigger. What do you think? Was Anita right to leave? Or should she have stayed and continued fighting for her marriage? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, like this video, comment your thoughts below, share this story with friends and family, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next emotional family drama story. Remember, sometimes the biggest lessons come from other people's stories.